Hi, hello and welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Tina, nice to see you. If you want to like me, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification icon so you know when I upload. And today we're going to be making some trick-or-treat goodie bags for, of course, Halloween, but with a twist because we're going to be telling some spooky stories. Now, whether these are of the paranormal or not, I'll let you decide. Let me know in the comments down below. But before we start with the stories, I thought I would show you what it is we have. So I wasn't able to find any Halloweeny goodie bags this year. I don't know why, but I was able to find these really adorable little goodie bags. As you can see, they have this adorable pastel claw machine with some cute little teddies on the inside. Now there are 12 per pack. I probably should have got another pack to make it 24, and I probably will go back and get another pack of these, but I thought these were really adorable. So although they're not very spooky, they are still pretty cool and I'm excited to be using them. Also, I have these little clip-on nails. I'll show you a close-up. So these are of little cute little pumpkin pugs with little Boo, and they're so cute. But the thing about these nails is my hair keeps getting like caught on them. Clue a shot of me untangling my hair. So as cute as these are very painful beauty hacks. But back to the candy. So I did have a pack of lollipops. However, whilst my son was being babysit by his nanny, he got into them. So this is what we have left. As you can see, got some empty wrappers. I also have 2 packs of the Zappo Drops, which have 65 pieces each. There's blueberry, blackberry, apple, strawberry, and grape flavor, which is pretty cool. I've got some sour gummy eyes. I've got some magical 4D apples, as well as 2 packets of the gummy block 4Ds, which I think are pretty cool. I wonder if you can actually build with these. I think so. For the chocolate, I have 2 bags of these 20-pack variety snacks, which has Snickers, Mars, Milky Way, and M&Ms. And I also got some Strawberries, Freddo Frogs, which are a personal favorite of mine, and I got 2 packets of them. And then last but not least, I have some Skittles, a 12-pack of normal Skittles, and a 12-pack of the Rotten Zombie Skittles. And the flavors for these are Lurking Lemon, Ghostly Grape, Grim Green Apple, Spooky Strawberry, and Rotten Zombie. I don't know if these actually have foul tastes on them, but if they do, sorry. I've also got this spooky little pumpkin, which is my son's goodie bag, which I will be making him for Halloween. Let's get into it and start with our first spooky story. Okay, so I'm gonna sort these out and I'm gonna begin telling my first spooky story. So I wasn't sure which story to start with, so I thought I would start with the very first spooky story that I have. Now, this took place when I was between the ages of 3 and 4 years old. It was before my parents had separated and we were visiting my Nan and Pop's house. Now, to give you an idea of my Nan and Pop's house, it is 2 stories, and it had, before it got renovated, it just had 1 bathroom. The way the layout worked was there was the kitchen that led onto a door which led to the stairwell. And the stairs would go down like this, and then there would be like a flat bit that you could walk on, and then there'd be the toilet over here, and then there'd be more stairs going down to where the laundry was and the downstairs area. So you'd go walk, 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 little break, walk, 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 and there's the toilet. So I went to the bathroom, and then I was walking down the second part of the stairs to go wash my hands, and I was about 3 steps away from the bottom when I looked up and I saw this girl standing there, this little child, and she had straight black hair, she had a box fringe, she was wearing this white like undershirt with like a grey like pinafore style dress, she had black shoes on, white socks, and she had the brightest like red ball I've ever seen, like honestly the brightest red I've ever seen in my life. And she just bounced it, and then bounced it to me. Now, being the brave child I was, I ran upstairs screaming. And of course all the adults were like, oh my god, what's going on? They came running, and I told them like I saw a little girl, and they searched the house, but of course there was no little girl. My nanny, however, did remember one of my cousins telling her that she had also seen a little girl with a bright red ball who appeared to her when she was playing in one of the rooms by herself. Now, to this day, we have no idea who this little girl was. Like, was there an actual little girl who had come into the house with a red ball, or was it a little ghost child? I don't know, but the fact that me and my cousin had both seen her and she'd vanished almost instantly without a trace, it leaves you to wonder. So before I start the second story, I will say, out of the two packets, there is a big difference of how many blues there are. Like, you can see there's a lot of purples, a lot of blacks. Green and reds are, you know, they're alright, but look, this is like the least. Blue's the best, of course. It's one that has the least, but I digress. So for the second story, this is one that my dad actually told me when I was a lot older, so take it with a grain of salt because I can't personally say whether it happened or not, because I was there but I wasn't there. You'll see what I mean. So this was when I was very little as well. My parents had separated at this stage and I was predominantly living with my dad. And again, the way our house was it was 2 stories, and downstairs was just like a basement type area, and upstairs is where all the bedrooms were. There was the kitchen which led onto the lounge room, when there was a hallway, and on this part of the hallway there was a bedroom, then there was a master bedroom, and then there was a small bedroom here, and then there was a toilet, and then there was the bathroom, and which had just like the sink and the bath. Now, being that I was about 5 years old at this stage, I of course had the master bedroom. My dad had the bedroom that was angled here, so he could actually, from his bed, which was pointed towards the door, he was able to see the entry of my bedroom and my sister's bedroom. Now, he was late at night time just texting his girlfriend at the stage, which, you know, is now my stepmom. Love. But he was on his phone texting in bed when suddenly he saw this big dark figure just race from my room straight past him, and his phone went smash in his chest. And my dog, which was on his bed, looked up at the door and his fur was all raised. And my dad, you know, it happened like a split second. He immediately just thought like, that's Tina, she's sleepwalking, because as a child I used to sleepwalk and sleep talk a lot. Now as an adult I apparently just like sleep talk. I don't really like disprove or proof, because again I'm sleeping while all this is happening, but yeah, so he was like, oh no, like, you know, Tina's probably sleepwalked and like running away. So, you know, my dad quickly runs out and he checks the living room and the kitchen, and I'm not there, and none of the doors have been tampered with, none of the windows have been tampered with, and the windows all had like bars and like the lining on them, you know, so there's no way to get in and out of the windows. So he quickly runs back into my bedroom and I'm there sound asleep, and he's confused because if I was there the whole time, then who came out of my room? So he checks my other sister's room and she's asleep in her bed, and so he's just left there confused. Then he checked the house again, he went outside and he checked the downstairs area just to make sure that no one was in the house, but no one was. And to this day he doesn't know what it was, but he believes it was something of the paranormal that was in my room, possibly watching me while I sleep, which is terrifying to think about. And it makes you wonder, like, you know, when you suddenly wake up in the middle of the night because you feel like something's watching you, like, was there something watching you? Creepy thought to think about. So I'm just gonna quickly like race ahead, filling the rest of the goodie bags with the Zappos so I can move on to something else, so that way I don't run out of stories. Not that I would, but you know, I don't want this video to be too long. Alrighty, so this is what's left of the Zappos. I am gonna pop some into my son's little bucket, and I will use the rest of them into the goodie bags that I will be making once I buy more of these, but I won't be filming that. Okay, so I'm gonna do the photo frogs now and move on to our third spooky story. So jumping forward a few years, my family and I have moved into a new house. This is a rental, and let me tell you, this house was the creepiest house I've ever lived in. Most houses I have been in have had some form of spookiness happen, whether you want to call them paranormal or not. It's definitely spooky, but this one, like, it was very, very eerie and creepy. So the day we moved in, it was actually like bucketing down raining. So classic like horror movie trope, you know, family moves in the house, it's raining. But the thing about this house was it was all one level, My son is making very scary sounds as he runs up the stairs. The thing about this house was it was one level, and there was this horse pen or something in the backyard that was apparently over 100 years old. And the backyard was quite big actually, and there was this massive tree which had one of those like rope swings, you know, just a rope and then a plank. So classic again, horror movie type swing. And I'll tell you what, that swinging on that swing, you just felt like someone was watching you. It was a very, not like, I didn't get like something menacing was watching me, like nothing, something that didn't want to hurt me, but I felt like I was being watched. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the Skittle packets now. But so again, with this house, just a feeling of being watched. My father had actually experienced some creepy happenings in the house, which he hadn't told me about because he didn't want to frighten me. And it wasn't until I had told him about, hey, some creepy stuff's happening, that he actually opened up to me and told me, well, actually, I have some spooky stuff happening as well. So I'll start with my stories first. Now my older sister was living with us, but she decided to move in with my mom, so which meant I got to have her bedroom. I was sharing with my little sister, and the bedroom was really cool. But once I moved into it is when creepy stuff started happening. I used to hear like the happening against like the walls, and there's footsteps as well. And I am one of the people that always have to make sure that if I have a desk in my room, that the chair is pushed in, like it has to be pushed in. And I would do that, and I'd wake up to hearing like squeaking on the ground, like a chair's being pushed. And I would look at it, and the chair would be moved out just a little bit, and I'd be like, that's strange. But I tried to just ignore it, you know. I tried to be like, well, if I don't pay attention, if I don't feed it any energy, then, you know, surely it'll leave me alone. But things would go missing, you know, like my school stuff. I'd have like my pencils, my rubbers and erasers and all that on the desk, and they would go missing, or they'd be moved to the other end of the table. We had two dogs, Milo, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, and my dog Jedi, who is still alive. I liked having Jedi in my room because if something spooky was happening, Jedi would be like, don't worry about it. But with Milo, because he had anxiety, one of the dogs that terrified of storms, you'd hear a noise and he would be shaking, and he'd come to me looking for comfort from me, and I'm like, no, Milo, like I need the comfort right now, you're scaring me of your reaction. So having Milo, which he loved to sleep in my room as well, was great, but also terrifying because he made it just that much more scary. Now moving on to the gummy eyes. I know this is kind of like breaking up the story. I'm just like spooky. Anyways, candy. Anyways, when I was a child, I used to hate showering alone because I was just afraid something was watching me. So my dog Jedi nearly always like sat in the bathroom with me, which gave me a lot of comfort. But one time he did not. And because there were like 6 people living in the house, there were a bunch of towels like hung up in the bathroom. So there was like 2 on the actual like shower, because it was one of those like glass ones. There was like 2 hanging on the door because they had like little racks on the door, and like 2 on the actual like towel rack. So I was showering, and I just felt this feeling like, again, something was watching me. And then suddenly, like, all the towels dropped. I screamed. Like, when I tell you I screamed, like, my dad came running, like, you know, he was like, what's going on? And I was just like crying, and I was like, all the towels just fell, you know? And, you know, if it had been like 1 or 2 towels had fallen at the same time, I could have been like, okay, you know, maybe they were slipping and they just, you know, gravity. But the fact that all of the towels fell at once and they were in different locations, no. Something happened there, which again, I can't explain what, but I am of the belief that it was something paranormal. Now, another story that I have at that house was I had my first ever job. I won't say where, but it required me to have this little hat. And I was getting ready for work, and I had put my hat on my bed, you know, so I could easily grab it. My stepmom was like, you know, waiting in the car for me. I just had, you know, I just had a shower. I just needed to come out, grab my hat, and go. And unfortunately, I came into my room and the hat was gone. And I immediately was like, what? Like, where is my hat? So I look on the bed, I shake all the sheets out, I look underneath the bed, and it's not there. Like, it's just simply not there. I look in my wardrobe, and mind you, we moved into this house as a temporary house. We were just renting while the house we were going to be moving in was being like built. So my family's not rich, by the way. I know it kind of sounds like, oh, rich, but no. They were just very lucky when they bought that like plot of land. But anyway, yeah, so because of that fact, we hadn't really unpacked many things. They were all pretty much still in boxes. We just had like clothes that we needed and like school stuff and, you know, a bit of this and that. So my room, like, it was pretty bare. There wasn't places that it could be, you know. And I look underneath my bed and I'm freaking out because I'm gonna be late for work. So again, I'm freaking out, I'm gonna be late for work, and I just say like, please, I'm gonna be late for work, where's my hat, you know. And I look underneath my bed again and I look up, and perfectly in the middle of my bed is my work hat, just in pristine condition. You know? It was kind of like a sailor hat almost type thing, and there it was. I didn't know what to think of it. I just grabbed it. I just started crying because I was so frustrated and like annoyed about the whole situation. I run out to the car. My stepmom is like, whoa, like calm down, like what's going on? And I'm just like, I tell her what's happened, and she goes, you snows, I swear, ghosts always seem to happen to you. So my stepmom doesn't really believe in the paranormal, but because of how much creepy stuff happens around my dad and I, she kind of just is forced to believe it. So that was the story of the hat. And when that happened, that was kind of like the last straw for me. I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. It's really scary. Like, I'm hearing all these knocks, like creepy stuff's happening. So I ended up moving in with my mom while the house was being built, and I then later moved in with my dad, which I then later moved back in with my mom. Complicated, I know. So that's pretty much the bulk of the major spooky stuff that happened to me when I was living there. But now I'll go on to my dad's stories that he has while living there. Now again, because these aren't my personal first-hand encounters, take it with a grain of salt, but I do believe my dad wholeheartedly when he told me this stuff. So this is what he experienced. So the first day we moved in, my dad and stepmom had the ensuite this time, and they had a walk-in robe and the bathroom and that, you know, the ensuite. And he's moving boxes into the walk-in robe, and he walks past it and he sees a little girl. And the little girl's wearing old-timey clothes. She has blonde curly hair. And he just sees her for a split second, you know, but he does a double take and she's gone, you know. And that was the first day they moved in. So my dad was like, okay, you know. My dad's had experience with the paranormal since he was young, so he's not too scared of the paranormal. Like me, I'm a little fraidy cat. So that was the first encounter my dad had on the first day moving into the house. The second encounter he had was he was moving more boxes into the walk-in robe, and he was putting it up high on the top, and then he looked down and he saw this hand come out of the box, you know, like this a box, and a hand just came out of the side of it and reached for his leg, and my dad saw it and it just went. If that had happened to me, I would have moved out of that house straight away. Like, that to me is absolutely terrifying. Like, he told me that story, and then, you know, when I moved in with my mom, we moved in houses again, and I got the master bedroom again. We're not rich, by the way. Those were rentals, but every time I walked into the walk-in robe, I was kind of like, my hand's poking out, so it scarred me. But anyways, another scary spooky thing that happened to him was he used to go to the gym late at night time, and he would return and pretty much everyone in the house would be asleep. And the way the house was, there was the main entrance, which had a living room, and then there was a second living room with a wall in between, and it had another door, which we used to use that as the entrance. And then there was the kitchen, and then there was a hallway which led to a big room that was split into two. That's what I was in with my little sister until my older sister moved out and I took her room. But there was a room here, and then it was the ensuite at the end. Now my dad came home from work and he saw a little girl with blonde hair. My little sister has blonde hair, just run out and run down the hallway into his room. So he follows, gets into their room, and she's not there. And he looks into the ensuite, like the bathroom part, the walk-in, and she's not there. And he wakes up my stepmom. Oh, where is Em? And she goes, oh, she's sleeping in her nanny's room. So my dad was like, okay, you know, piecing it together. He saw the girl with blonde hair in the walk-in, so he's like, okay, that's who I must have seen like run into the room. Every encounter my dad had when he came home from gym late at night time, again, everyone was asleep. He went into the kitchen and he got a glass of water, and then he walked somewhere, and then he walks back into the kitchen and all of the cabinets are open. Like every single cabinet was open, and in that kitchen there were a lot of cabinets. It was actually a really nice kitchen. There was like cabinets all in here, there, like a lot of cabinets. And my dad was just kind of annoyed. He was like, oh, now I gotta close all these cabinets, which, you know, he is a lot braver than I am, because again, if that happened to me, I would be like, nope, 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 nope. That reminds me, sorry, that reminds me of another very spooky story I have personally from that house. I can't believe I forgot it because it was very scary. So, backtracking a little bit, I woke up one morning and I had to go to the bathroom. So I get up and I'm walking towards my door and I'm about to reach the handle to turn it when it turns and opens. And I assume, oh, it must be my stepmom waking me up for work, you know? So the door opens and nobody's there. And I'm like, what? I'm shocked. So I walk down the hallway into my dad and stepmom's room, and they're fast asleep. My stepmom's like mum sister's room, which my sister used to sleep in as well, they were all sleeping there. And I was like, And I walked back into my room and I closed the door and I got under the blanket and I put on YouTube, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay here till everyone in the house wakes up, because no, that was terrifying. The fact that the door just opened on its own and nobody was there, I was like, I'm just gonna act like it didn't happen. I don't care if I have to go to the bathroom, like I am staying in this bed. So so that was another spooky thing that happened to me. Now the last of the spooky stories that my dad told me about was he was in the backyard going through like where the horse pen was. It was kind of like a horse pen that they converted into like a shed, but not quite. So he was in there and he was ruffling through some boxes to get something, and he just had his little torch and he heard a horse. Just a horse, a gallop, you know, in the backyard. And my dad was like, that's weird. There's no horses here. So he shines his flashlight where the sound's coming from, but there's obviously no horse. But he looks down and there's hoof prints on the ground. So my dad quickly races inside and he goes to get his phone to take a photo of these tracks, but when he comes out, they're gone. Terrifying as it is, he again was just like, oh, makes sense, this used to be an old horse paddock, you know, back 100 years ago. So I don't know how he doesn't get afraid of these things. I would, if I was in the backyard at nighttime by myself with just a torch and I heard like horses and then there was no horses and then I saw hoof prints, like terrified, absolutely terrified. Which brings me to the actual last story, because I just remembered another one that my dad told me. I am so bad with telling stories, by the way. This is why my friends are like, Tina, you cannot just stick to like one story. You scatter all around. So I'm very sorry. I will say this goodie bag, these are pretty good goodie bags. I also just had like these Skittles left to put in it. Then there's like one of every candy. So yeah, these kids are gonna get a good deal. I say that as the last candy is the gross one. So yeah, because we had two dogs, Jedi and Milo, my dad used to regularly like throughout the night like get up and take dogs out for, you know, to do a wee. And it was really handy that it was a weird layout of the house, because in the bathroom there was a glass door that had clips on the top, clips on the bottom, and just like a hook, you know, just hook type thing. And it would open to kind of like a little area that had like a fence, and fence. So kind of like a little courtyard, but it was just weird that the entry to the courtyard was through the bathroom. very strange. So my dad late at night time used to let dogs go out to the bathroom there, you know, otherwise they'd run into the massive backyard and just like take forever to come back in. So one night my dad, you know, he unlatches the top and he unlatches the bottom and he just, you know, he flicks it open and usually the door just glide open. He did that, but the door didn't open. And he's like, what? That's very strange, you know? So he's pushing as hard as he can, like as hard as humanly possible to open this door, which there is no reason why it shouldn't open. And because it was a glass, like a fogged glass, like he could see that there was nothing, no one there, nothing blocking the door. So there was no reasonable explanation why it didn't open. And my dad just stopped, took a step back and just went and lightly poked it and it opened. And my dad believes that, you know, it was the little ghost girl that was playing a trick on him, and you know, he didn't feel any danger from her, and neither did I really. I didn't feel like I was in danger in that house. It was just very spooky being, you know, a teenager, and I was in grade 9, so you know, quite young, around 13, 14, and having this stuff happen, very spooky. But that is all I believe, unless I remember a story I've forgotten of the creepy stuff that happened in that house. I've also come to the end of making the little goodie bags. I will zippy tie these up, or I'm not even sure what these is. Tweeze them. Give a little example. Yes, I did it horribly. I am not good at this. But I think these goodie bags are actually really good. Like if I was a child even now and I went trick-or-treating, which is not very common here in Australia, but you know, there are a few kids in this neighborhood. So last year we had trick-or-treaters, so I reckon you get one of these, you're gonna be like, heck yeah, what a good treat. Is all for this video and for the spooky stories I have today. I do have a few more spooky stories. Like I say, whether you want to believe they are of the paranormal or not, that is up to you. Let me know in the comments down below. Like, what do you think? Do you think there are any reasonable explanations of what has happened in the stories I have told? Like, let me know. You know, I'd always be a fan for a reasonable explanation, make me be able to sleep well at night, not to be scared. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video, if you want me to tell some more spooky stories. I do have a fair few more. Some of them are more scary than others. Some of them are pretty lame, but I'm like, ooh, scary to me. I don't know, let me know. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification icon so you know when I upload, and perhaps tell some more spooky stories. I'm not sure if you have noticed, but there are a few flies in here, so spooky flies. But again, that is all for this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Be safe everyone, bye! I'm very curious to try one of these though. I'm not a huge fan of gummy candy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of gummy candy.